The Six-Day War, also known as the June War or the Third Arab-Israeli War, took place from June 5 to June 10, 1967. This brief but pivotal conflict unfolded as Israel faced a coalition of Arab states, primarily Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, resulting in Israel's decisive victory and a significant territorial transformation in the Middle East. This video will delve into the causes, course, and aftermath of the Six-Day War, highlighting its impact on the Arab-Israeli conflict. The historical context. The roots of the Six-Day War can be traced back to the First Arab-Israeli War in 1948. Shortly after the establishment of the State of Israel, tensions persisted, leading to a second military confrontation in 1956 during the Suez Crisis. This early conflict laid the foundation for the hostilities that culminated in the 1967 war. Causes of the conflict. The primary trigger for the Six-Day War was a territorial dispute over key regions, including the Sinai Peninsula, Gaza Strip, West Bank, and the Golan Heights. President Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt had been making hostile statements and actions against Israel, culminating in the blockade of the Straits of Tiran, a crucial waterway for Israeli shipping. This aggressive stance, combined with the political unity of Arab states against Israel, set the stage for the conflict. The outbreak of war. In response to the apparent mobilization of its Arab neighbor, Israel launched a sudden preemptive air assault on June 5, 1967. This strike, which destroyed more than 90% of Egypt's air force and similarly incapacitated the Syrian air force, left the Egyptian army vulnerable. Within 3 days, the Israelis had achieved an overwhelming victory, capturing the Gaza Strip and substantial portions of the Sinai Peninsula. Simultaneously, an eastern front opened when Jordanian forces began shelling West Jerusalem. Disregarding Israel's warning to King Hussein to stay out of the conflict, Israeli forces swiftly countered the attack, driving Jordanian forces out of East Jerusalem and most of the West Bank. Ceasefire and consequences. The UN Security Council called for a ceasefire on June 7, which Israel and Jordan promptly accepted. Egypt followed suit the next day, while Syria continued to shell northern Israel. On June 9, Israel launched an assault on the fortified Golan Heights, capturing it from Syrian forces. After a day of heavy fighting, Syria eventually accepted the ceasefire on June 10. The human and material losses incurred by the Arab countries were devastating, with Egypt, Jordan, and Syria suffering significant casualties and equipment losses. In contrast, Israel's relatively minimal losses reaffirmed its status as the region's preeminent military power. The post-war landscape. The Six-Day War ushered in a new phase in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians became refugees, and over 1 million found themselves living under Israeli rule in the occupied territories. In November, the United Nations passed Resolution 242, calling for Israel's withdrawal from the captured territories in exchange for lasting peace. This resolution became the foundation for diplomatic efforts and negotiations, including the Camp David Accord with Egypt and the pursuit of a two-state solution with the Palestinians. Conclusions. The Six-Day War, a brief but pivotal conflict, reshaped the Middle East's political and territorial landscape. Its far-reaching consequences continue to influence the Arab-Israeli conflict and efforts towards lasting peace in the region.